time for the Get to the Point review.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Get to the Point review podcast. I am your co-host, Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I am Josh Gitson of Fourth Wall Players.
And we are joined this time, coming back with Aaron Margolis-Greenbaum, or Aaron MG. He is a comedy writer and director that Josh and I have both worked with. Mm-hmm. And how are you doing today, Aaron?
Great. And first of all, congratulations on saying my last name correct.
We practiced it for like 15 minutes.
I practiced it twice. Around no one, so I didn't even know if I was going to say it right. But you know,
I don't have problems with my last name, but it's a pet peeve when somebody will say just half of it. They'll either say Margolis or Greenbaum. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, come on, guys. There's a hyphen there for a reason.
Right.
I mean,
say the entire name, motherfucker. That's what I say.
Yeah. That's wow. We're getting into it. All right. Okay. So, this week. Okay. This episode. This year. We're going to be covering guilty pleasure comedies with Aaron. And that's going to be, for our recent movie, we're going to be talking about Cocaine Bear. But before we do, I would like to ask a couple of questions. So let's get to know Aaron just a little bit better. First of all, you would consider yourself a comedy writer and director, correct?
I would say just because 99% of what I've made so far is, but I feel like someday, hopefully, I'm going to pull a Jordan Peele and just go into a genre nobody was expecting. So,
like porn.
Like porn. Yes. Like porn. Yes. Yeah. Right. The most artistic.
Get Out, greatest porn movie ever.
Right. Yes. Yeah. First Oscar for.
It was originally called Call Out.
Yeah. You could do like what they did with Caligula and just like completely gaslight a bunch of famous actors.
There's that. So if you were going to, what other genres might you branch off into, or is that something that we're just going to have to wait for?
I don't know. My sister Sarah, who's like my co-director, whatever. We just don't really know what our next project is going to be. It might be comedy again. It might not. We've been playing with some ideas, maybe sci-fi. I don't know. Nice. We're just kind of so focused on just getting our current production finished that we don't really have time to brainstorm the next project.
Yeah, I get that.
And speaking of which, so the way that we met Aaron was he solicited us for his series, #series. Which for season 1, that was a lot of fun. We're both in the same episode.
We are, yeah. That's really weird.
And the BIPOC friend episode 17. And I reprised a similar role. It's not necessarily the same person, is it, for season 2? Or is it?
I mean, in my imagination, it is the same person. Obviously, not doing the same thing.
No, obviously.
But yeah.
So how would you, what's your elevator pitch for #series? How would you summarize it for our audience?
Sure. First season with all about like just different culture war topics, feminism, racism, stuff like that. And second season is kind of the same thing, but instead of focusing on different topics, it was more about what is causing all this anger and polarization right now. And so it kind of focuses more on how social media and the internet kind of plays a role in that.
Yeah, and I got the sense of that because it was much more sort of behind the scenes rather than what we're seeing. So now I can't recall from season 1, was there an episode about anti-Semitism?
Not it wasn't a focus of any episode, but there was like 1 or 2 jokes. I think in like episode 19 where like this guy is at an AA meeting and he's addicted to everything, and he had his current addiction is Chuck E. Cheese tokens. Because he's jealous of the other people who get tokens for being sober. So there's this part where he like drops the Chuck E. Cheese tokens and he lunges at his coins and somebody goes, "Wow, are you Jewish?" So just just evoking that stereotype that Jews love money like that. So I think that's probably as much as anti-Semitism is covered in the series. There might have been like one other small joke that I can't remember right now.
Gotcha. Well, for the audience, we are filming / recording this on a Sunday. So yesterday was Shabbos for you, correct?
Yeah. I don't roll on Shabbos.
What's that?
I don't roll on Shabbos.
You don't roll on? No, we don't. So
yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have a Shabbos goy? Do you have a Shabbos goy?
Oh, let's see. No, I don't.
Oh no.
That concept makes me feel uncomfortable. It sounds kind of degrading, at least to me. I don't know how you guys feel about the concept. I mean, there has been like 1 or 2 times where I went to my temple, my synagogue, and I think the lights were not on and the lights are supposed to be on. And like, if this was a Reform synagogue, a Jew would just be like, let me just turn it on. But my synagogue's a little more traditional. So like they try not to use electricity. Right. So I remember, somebody just going out and there's a bus stop, like literally right in front of the temple. Somebody went out and said, "Hey, do you mind coming inside and turning on the light switch for us?" So it wasn't a designated Shabbos goy, but that is what the idea is, where if you can't do something, you ask somebody else to do it because it doesn't violate their religious beliefs.
Right. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to have any, like, for me, I honestly, I find it funny. I'm a fan of Ari Shaffir. Okay.
Oh yeah.
In his latest stand-up, that was a big point of reference was the Shabbos goy, and I just found it very funny. So I just wondered if that was a designated thing, and no, I myself would not find it degrading. I would gladly be your Shabbos goy if it was convenient, Aaron. I just
Well, I mean, and I am happy that you feel comfortable to ask me the question. I don't want you to think anything is off topic. I just know that like the word goy, it doesn't. People think it means non-Jew, but it doesn't. It means nation, and like even the Jewish people are referred to as Kodesh Goyim, a holy nation in the Bible. And boy, I was not expecting to give a sermon.
No, but, this is great. This is great education. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, but so I mean, the word goy shouldn't be offensive, but I know that I have friends who are not Jewish who have felt offended by being called a goy, and it's just about how you use the word. Like same thing with the word Jew. It's not a bad word, but you go, "You Jew," you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So.
Okay, I see. See, so and I think this is great because I was unaware that goy actually means nation, depending on the context, right?
Yeah.
So that's important education. That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm in which case I'm glad I brought it up, and I'm sorry for your friends that would be offended that I brought it up. Certainly nothing to be offended about. I brought it up because we're all comedy writers here. Kind of, we're not afraid to make fun of ourselves. For sure.
Speaking of Ari Shaffir, I'm not a big fan of him, whatever, but I did love the fact that he was one of the few people to make fun of Kobe Bryant. After he died, he got in big trouble for that. People are like, "Oh no, he died," and he's like, "Let's not forget the guy's a rapist, right?" Yeah. So I felt like he had real guts.
Alleged.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a fan of basketball, so I don't care about Kobe Bryant or any other basketball player, honestly. So it's easy for me to laugh about it, but I get it. Sometimes you just don't want to believe that about your heroes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, and some people would argue that it's a respect thing, but to me, that's also that balance between. I mean, it's what comedians do,
right?
You know what I mean? They are constantly pushing the boundaries and the line, and sometimes you step over and sometimes you don't, and the ones that teeter on that line are the ones that end up succeeding in the first place. So
right.
When
we've talked, and I think, I don't know if we've done it on the show or if it's just been like personal, but we've talked before about like how it bothers me when there's like a public figure that is constantly dumped on or made fun of for their lifestyle or whatever, then they die and all of a sudden they're just like the patron saint of everything. And
like they never did anything wrong.
Like like people are like, poor Michael Jackson, and I was like 3 months ago you were calling him a pedophile. So
right.
Like,
I have a lot of Michael Jackson jokes, by the way.
I mean, everyone did until he died, and then
well,
and then all of a sudden he's like the golden boy, right? Like
I think it's more so that fans of Michael Jackson, I myself, when he died, I cried, and that's just me personally. But
it doesn't help that he died in the social media age where that's sort of like, this is the popular sentiment today.
Right.
Is flaunt. Him and Anna Nicole Smith, I remember, was a really big one too, that people were like, oh, I'm so sad she died. It's like, she was a gold digger. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Right. Well, for me, it was, personally, like I was never going to see him in concert,
right. And I get that. Yeah.
We have friends in the film industry who were really upset when Alan Rickman died because they were never going to get to work with him.
But Alan Rickman was a saint. Let's get things straight.
As far as we know. All right. Yeah. As far as we know, maybe.
It hasn't come out yet. It's not coming out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, but we do digress now.
We are digressing.
Okay. So what we need to do, what's super important, is for us to each kind of define what a guilty pleasure comedy is to us. Because I feel like we're all going to have slightly different definitions.
Hopefully.
A little bit. So Josh, what's a guilty pleasure comedy to you?
The way I've approached it, at least in this instance, and kind of how I feel about it, normally, for guilty pleasure comedy for me, obviously it has to be something that is labeled a comedy in the first place. It's not necessarily something that I think is funny as much as it is, for me, guilty pleasures, anything that I find is not very high quality, but I still find enjoyment in watching. And I can watch it over and over again, even if I know, like, logically, like, this isn't a great movie, but it's just fun to like put on and just, kind of sit through or whatever. That to me is kind of what I went for with my guilty pleasure comedy. Like, I understand I've got a Kryptonite Area for parody movies. I don't know why. I just love them. But no matter how bad they are.
You have a Kryptonite Area for scary movies?
For parody.
Oh, parody. Okay.
But scary movie would be included in that list, right? So, and I mean, I don't know, like, maybe it's just because, like, I watched a lot of Mel Brooks and Monty Python and, even Airplane when I was younger, and it's just kind of something that sticks in my head, right? But those are good ones.
Those are good ones, right? So those
are not on the list.
To me, those can't make the list too. Agreed. Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. Like, again, and it's like this for me with any guilty pleasure. Like, yes, I see that there are definite flaws in these films, but it does not keep me from enjoying them as a fan.
Yeah, I found that the ones on my list were terrible movies. They're terrible.
That I've watched 15 times.
That I've watched 15 to 35 times.
Right.
Yes, guaranteed over the past 20 years. So Aaron, how does your definition of a guilty pleasure comedy differ?
So I agree with what Josh said, and I feel it's because I'm a film snob. Like, I feel like I guess I'm just kind of arrogant, and I'm like, my taste is the best taste. So, like, I don't
naturally,
I don't feel guilty about liking what I like. So for me, the definition of guilty pleasure is that when I like something, but I go on IMDb.com and it has a bad rating, I'm like, oh, that's the guilty pleasure. I guess most of the world just doesn't understand how I understand this to be a
right, yeah. Like, there's something specific about it that you found funny, or entertaining, or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And other people don't agree.
For example, like, there are some comedies, like I don't really understand why they were such a hit and why people thought they were so funny and so great. Like The Hangover. It's like really highly rated. People loved it. It got a trilogy. I think Zach Galifianakis was the best thing about the movie. The rest of the movie is just like, to me. And I know I'm in the minority for thinking that. So that's why I like IMDb. I like to see where where my opinion lies. And
I feel the same way. I feel that way about Napoleon Dynamite. Like, I just cannot stand that movie, but I know everybody likes it.
And seeing this is one of those, like, okay, when we were in high school, when I very first watched Monty Python, I didn't get it when we were in high school.
Right.
When I watched Monty Python, I didn't get it.
It's a very specific type of.
When I watched Napoleon Dynamite, didn't get it. In my 20s, oh my gosh, I die laughing at Napoleon Dynamite. It's the awkward. It's the awkwardness of what's his name? James Heater. Is that what his name is?
John Heater.
John Heater. Yeah. It's his awkwardness. I mean, when it first came out for Napoleon Dynamite, the only time I laughed was when he threw a steak at the guy and it hit him in the face. Like, that was the only time I laughed through that whole movie. The very first time I saw it. Now I'm just like, this is just preposterous. Like, and that's part of the charm.
Also, I know I'm gonna get internet canceled, but I can't stand Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm either, honestly.
I've not watched that. I like the concept of it being a lot of improv, but I've not actually watched it. I can also see how that could lend it to not being a very solid show because you can't control what's happening, like.
Yeah. Well, and actually, that's what I don't like about Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, you can tell it's improv. Like, they clearly come up with like a general story idea where they want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
But then the dialogue just goes on and on with his whole like complaining.
Drags a bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those shows that would benefit from some tight writing. I think.
Yeah, some tight writing especially with the talent that they have.
Yeah.
Well, talent, depending on who you are, who you think of. But when it comes to The Hangover, yeah, like, there are things that I enjoy about that movie. It's not the best movie in the world to me, like it seemed to be to everyone else when it first came out. There were like Zach Galifianakis, yes, and I've always been a Bradley Cooper fan, so I enjoyed him in it. And then, of course, my draw to the movie when it very first came out, which, like I said, I had seen it, but I wasn't head over heels for it like everyone else was that we were going to be seeing from The Office, Andy from The Office in
Ed Helms.
Ed Helms, yes, yeah. Ed Helms. I don't know why I couldn't come up with his name. I've said it a bajillion times. So that was my draw to the movie. But agreed, yeah, The Hangover, not nearly as great of a movie. It did not deserve a trilogy, for sure.
No, definitely
not in my mind. But money. Right.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're gonna make money. I don't think Fast and the Furious deserves 10 films, but they keep making money off of it.
Oh man, wow! I haven't seen past the sixth one.
I don't even think
which is even bad.
I even like set out a little over a year ago because I'm like kind of a completionist cinephile sort of person. So I was like, let's just watch the series so that I can just get it off of my bucket list or whatever. Right. I only made it to the fifth one before I was like, okay, I'm done.
Well, for me, guilty pleasure comedies, I agree very much with Josh and with you, Aaron. The only thing that made this tough was that most of the things that would make my guilty pleasures list are not comedies.
Yeah, same.
So that was the thing. It was like, oh man, I have to like figure out what bad comedies I like. Like, because if it was either funny to me or it wasn't,
Does
right?
Tank Girl count as a comedy?
I don't know. So then here, this brings in the question, was Cocaine Bear a guilty pleasure comedy for you? Right?
Are you asking
either of you? Yeah.
I think it can be. It wasn't for me personally. Like, I was going into it thinking it was going to be like a Sharknado level bad that is so bad that it's like memorable.
Nope, that would be Big Shark, which is what we were originally going to review.
Right, fair enough. But I just meant the way it's like filmed and whatever. But when I watched it, it almost seemed mediocre, and I feel like it's really hard to take a movie with a premise of a bear high on cocaine and make it forgettable. But I feel like minus the couple of scenes where there is like a little bit of gore, like more gore than you would expect in a mostly, lighthearted, foul-mouthed comedy, other than those things that like kind of stick out to you, like there's nothing in it that I like. I watched it like 3 days ago and I'm just over here. I'm trying to remember like things that even happened. It's just, yeah. I was disappointed in that it was mediocre. Like that. So to me, it's not a guilty pleasure, but some people might have found some of the stuff funny. They tried to be funny.
Yeah, well, like for me, it would not have made a guilty pleasure comedy list for the simple fact that there are other comedy movies in its genre that do a better job of like
Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a Plane is one of them. There's also the one where it's making fun of horror films, where people keep dying by accident. It's like the two Hicks in the
Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that did such a great job at like this sort of concept. So it's like the parts that were supposed to be filmed like a horror film. Yeah, you know. So that's why for me, Cocaine Bear wouldn't quite make pleasure comedy list. What about you, Aaron?
I mean, so I'm sorry to cheat, but I'm just gonna go off of what the IMDb rating was. I think it was like a 6 something. So like if it's above a 5, like, what was that?
Which is better than you'd think for a movie like
that.
Yeah.
I think I would not reviewing it for this podcast. It's not the kind of movie I was set out to watch. But the reason is because it is exactly what the title said. It's a movie about a bear that does cocaine. I would say that it's not trying to be highbrow, which I appreciate. You know, there are movies in my life that I do not want them to be highbrow.
Yes, it's not trying to have like a theme of family or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel had nothing to do with it. So
I feel like the movie tried to get you to feel emotionally involved because they made the little girl go disappear. And so like the whole movie you're thinking, oh, I hope the little girl doesn't get hurt. And then in the meanwhile, everybody left and right is getting killed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of tonally a little inconsistent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And yeah, the violence, I don't usually have to close my eyes, but when that woman in the ambulance bed fell out and her head, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, that was a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Guilty pleasure. I think it's a horror comedy. It kind of reminds me of like Zombieland or Evil Dead 2. And I think it is actually very good for what it's trying to be.
What it's trying
but
to be.
It just didn't happen to be the kind of movie that I necessarily would seek out.
Yeah, it just felt like there wasn't really any, because like the two movies you just mentioned, I feel like there were really great single performances by an actor that really helps make it stand out. I didn't really get that in this film for the most part. There is an exception, and I'll get to that. But
yeah. For me with this, it's definitely like, I forget what I was going to say. Yep, that's how that works.
Just like I forgot the movie.
Oh man, oh dang.
Also, all the performances were actually great. Like the dialogue was really quick and snappy. Like they were funny. There just wasn't really a main character outside of the bear.
That's right. Yeah. So what I was gonna say, right, is Aaron, like this, like I said, originally we were going to review Big Shark, which is a movie that I absolutely 100,000% would have watched. When Cocaine Bear came out, I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah.
If we hadn't put it on this podcast, I still would not have watched it.
If it's not meth gators, I don't care.
If it's not meth gators in Florida, I don't care. Is exactly
that'll be our movie.
That's our movie.
That's our next
movie. That sounds like a great movie, actually. Meth gators. I want to see that.
So we've started kind of brushing into our reviews on Cocaine Bear real quick before we actually get into those. All right, a full review on it. I have two very important questions, a main question and a follow-up. And this can be a simple yes or no. Have you ever tried cocaine?
Nope.
No, I haven't. I'm just scared. Yeah.
I tried it once when I was 17. Gave me a headache. That was all. Follow-up question. Have you ever tried bear?
Like sexually?
Well, however you want to take it. However you want to take it.
Like Super Troopers. Bear fucker.
Maybe so. Oh gosh. See, and that's again just such a good comedy. Would have never made the guilty pleasure list because it's just so good.
Never.
Have you ever tried bear, Aaron?
No. I don't think it's kosher. Not that would stop me, but that is the excuse I would use because I don't want to try it.
No, but that is a great excuse to have. I have not tried bear either. Yeah. I think I would if I knew it was cooked properly. But otherwise, there's a huge risk of trichinosis when you win it with bear. So
I don't think I've ever looked at a bear and was like, that looks yummy. Like,
most apex predators just are not that tasty.
Yeah, I mean, you imagine they've got like a lot of like muscle and sinew and crap
a lot of diseases.
Yeah.
Lots of diseases. Okay, well then, in which case we can get into our reviews of Cocaine Bear, and because we've kind of already glossed over what I said, I'll say watch it high, but probably not on cocaine. It's definitely entertaining and a lot gorier than I anticipated. That was the biggest surprise for me. But this feels like a really long Whitest Kids You Know sketch. That's what it felt like. The whole time I just kept thinking of this sketch that Whitest Kids You Know had, where they said, what if you get a bunch of teenagers and they go and they strap a bulletproof vest on a grizzly bear? Then you got grizzly bears running around, raping your churches, burning your women. And, that's just what kept going through my head the whole time we were watching the movie was the Whitest Kids You Know sketch. Yeah. About bulletproof bears and how dangerous those can be to our societies. And that's why we all need firearms. Because what if? Yeah. That's what
this podcast is being sponsored by the NRA.
I wish we had that kind of money.
Yeah.
This back wall would just be filled with just like different automatic weapons and hunting rifles.
I do see a 6-shooter back there.
Yeah, that's from the Duke, and it's not real. It's just a plaque.
Okay.
But it's film memorabilia. I got it from a long time ago. He was a huge fan of John Wayne. So, but yes, we're sponsored by the NRA. Not really. Not really associated. That's what NRA stands for. But yeah, so that's what I thought of Cocaine Bear. I if I watch it again, I will be very high. Not on cocaine.
I haven't done cocaine, but I can't imagine that the one thing I'd want to do if I was high on cocaine is sit still and watch a movie.
No, well, and for me, I do not struggle at all with needing energy. Like, if I'm, I could skate 14 hours a day and be fine, and kind of thing. Like, I do not need extra energy. If anything, if I'm going to take drugs, it's bringing me down, buddy.
Yeah. Some indica, maybe.
Yeah, some indica. That's right. Always. All right. And so, who's next?
You want me?
Yeah.
All right. So I might get to the point review on Cocaine Bear. If you like 90s crime comedies minus the humor, and Guy Ritchie films minus the action or back and forth banter, then this film is for you. Multiple parties with uninteresting stories and one badass detective's journey of his growing relationship with his dog.
Which was super sweet.
It was the best part of the film, like hands down.
Oh man,
that detective.
That was a scathing review.
Yeah,
it was. What's funny is that we'll probably have scathing reviews of the rest of our list, but then we'll go on to talk about how much we enjoyed it.
That's generally what we do. Like we try to do like a negative, funny review, and then we follow it up with, but I really liked this.
But I really liked this. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, your scathing review.
I agree with Josh. It wasn't like a standout performance, which is a shame because I feel like every actor in that movie was a really good actor.
Yeah.
And they all had good dialogue. I think it would have helped to maybe focus on one character a little bit more to give us like an emotional attachment. I don't know if I would trash the movie because, again, I think it was very good for what it wanted to be. I'm surprised. Like, are you guys as surprised as I am that it was Elizabeth Banks of all people who made this movie?
I was so surprised when I saw that. And I was like, what?
That was
it's a long way from Pitch Perfect, let me tell you.
Right. Yeah. So anybody out there who thinks that, women can't make a cool, awesome movie, I'll point to Cocaine Bear. I'll be like, that was Elizabeth Banks. So
yeah, no, it like I said, it was definitely entertaining. It was like I did not hate the movie. Definitely did not hate the movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. I was like I said, that the gore was just what surprised me, which it shouldn't have. Honestly, I think I should have expected it, but for whatever reason, it caught me off guard every time.
I think it was just the type of gore. Like it just went from, it was like adult humor and fuck you, fuck that, whatever, and for the most part. And so, but like I guess lighthearted maybe. It's kind of like how like although Pineapple Express did it better, it's kind of like Pineapple Express had that kind of they were running from drug smugglers or drug dealers or whatever, and it was serious, but like it was very lighthearted as far as comedically. Then all of a sudden, in the last like 20 minutes, it's like this giant shoot 'em up action film, which I thought was great.
Right.
I thought that was hilarious, but it didn't work as well for me in this movie. But
yeah, no, it's how off-putting and sudden the gore was. Like with Pineapple Express, there's always this sort of comedy leading up to the gore where it's like, okay, we're building this tension, but we're going to make a few jokes first. Why are you wearing that shirt? I don't know. Why do you have 2 copies of Anger Management?
Yeah.
One of these things. It's like, okay, they could shoot each other, but this is ridiculous. Where suddenly it turned into a horror film in Cocaine Bear, and that was the most startling thing. Yeah, so overall, the tonal shifts in Cocaine Bear is what was really off-putting, but overall, it was entertaining. Definitely doesn't make the guilty pleasure comedy list for me, but I guess that will bring us to, since we just finished talking about what's not in our guilty pleasure comedy list. Let's talk about what actually is in our guilty pleasure comedy list. Now, so something really strange happened to me, which we've been discussing this now for a week.
Yeah.
As I was making my list, so I started out with about 10, and I started watching through them. And as I watched through them, and I decided, nah, that doesn't quite make the list, I'd scratch through it. And when I decided that it did, be like, okay, and I wrote it down. All 5 of my guilty pleasure comedy films took place in 1 year.
What? That was a good year for you.
I did not, and I did. So something about when I was 13 years old is just startlingly
probably saw a bunch
guilty
of Comedy
pleasure
Central or whatever, and
I don't know. But they are literally all from the year 2002.
Okay.
5. I somehow ended up with 5 comedies all from the year 2002.
I have a feeling there's going to be a Dane Cook movie on your list.
There's not.
Oh, okay.
I think that was still slightly before.
Just before Dane Cook.
Just before he blew up.
Yeah, like that was 2005, 2006.
Yeah, he was that Simon Says movie in the 90s, but that doesn't count.
Waiting was 2006, and that was right in the era where he was big in stand-up, right?
Yeah.
So this would have been like 4 years before Dane Cook arrived. And oddly enough, other than Waiting, I wasn't a huge Dane Cook fan. I just wasn't. I think it was because I have this thing where I'm so nonconformist. When everyone else has a bunch of hype around something, I'm like, yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that thing.
I hate it.
I hate it. I'll like it when I want to like it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
get it.
Like I wait for a lot of the buzz to die down. If it is something I'd be interested in, I wait for a lot of the buzz to die down before I even think about.
I think it's one of those, like, I don't want to be caught up in groupthink.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I want to form my own opinion.
Yeah.
That's I think what it is about it. But so I will start off our list here since we're talking about parodies, and I want to jump on this just in case it's on yours. Kung Pao Enter the Fist, 2002.
Yes!
It made my list, okay, because I said the worst and longest episode of bad lip reading you will ever see that taught me to trust the power of the tongue.
Yes.
Because
I'm still waiting on that sequel.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I think other than impersonating our vice principal, Mr. Rice, the one thing I did more than anything in high school was
yes.
Yeah, I did that so much. And I would also just randomly say, tell me if you see a Radio Shack. Because that was just one of my favorite random lines. You know, he's like dying and he's being escorted into town and is like, tell me if you see a Radio Shack. and it's super, you know, like there's no Radio Shacks anymore, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist definitely made my list.
I enjoyed it so much I didn't even put it on there because in my mind it's not guilty. You know? Like I don't feel I thought it was a perfect movie.
That was the tough part about this one, is that was like, because when I was watching, I was like, it's so funny to me, but I could see how people would just completely miss the humor in it.
Right.
And so it made my list, but like kind of barely.
Yeah.
It was at the last minute where I was like, oh my gosh, I love this movie.
I will say,
and everyone else hates it.
Yeah, I will say I did think about putting it on there, but I was like, I think I got better ones, or I guess worse ones. But
well, when they did like Kung Fu Hustle, okay,
I wasn't even
a couple years later, like everyone forgot about Kung Pao,
right?
Which is why this came to mind, because it's like we're still talking about two completely different movies,
right? For
the simple fact that Kung Pao Enter the Fist is literally bad lip reading.
Yeah.
For two movies that they cut together and then transposed green screen footage over. It's just brilliant.
It's from the same people that made like the God Thumb and those movies. Yes. Yeah, those are.
It's just I love it. So who's next?
Well, I just got to mention, in Kung Pao, there's the woman with one boob, and then in Total Recall, there's the woman with three boobs. So
yeah,
it all comes together.
It all comes. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
What I want to know is, how are they going to introduce them to the MCU? That's what I want to know.
Right.
There we go. Yes.
Exactly. I can go next. So my first Get to the Point review is on the movie Almost Heroes from 1998.
Wait, what's it called?
No, it's not. No, it's
Almost
not 2002.
Heroes.
Is that Chris Farley?
It is.
Okay.
Matthew Perry and Chris Farley lead a group of adventurous settlers across the country to beat Lewis and Clark to reaching the Pacific Ocean. I thought there was fantastic performances by Kevin Dunn, who played a Spaniard randomly, and Eugene Levy, who played a Frenchman randomly. That's all I got to say about it.
Remember in the letter where I said that I could translate this? This is not one of those languages.
This is not one of those languages. Oh.
If any man look at my woman, I got him.
I had it on VHS when I was younger. I have it on DVD now. We watch it, my wife and I, a lot. I can't explain why. I just thought the chemistry between Perry and Farley was so great.
Yeah.
I don't know if it just didn't get advertised very well, or whatever reason did not do very well at the box office. And it's kind of forgotten about. It's like in that lost in that shuffle of like mid to late 90s comedies that seem to happen every 3 weeks. And I thought it was real funny. And like and then you also had like Bokeem Woodbine as like Matthew Perry's slave or whatever, and like it was, the cast was so fantastic.
It was really great.
Every single one of them, like
that. Yeah. The only reason that didn't make my list is because I was almost positive we had mentioned it in a previous episode.
See, I didn't put Dirty Work because I was like, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned Dirty Work. I know I've done a Note of Brilliance on it, but I figured I'd done it in this too.
I don't think so.
I got it backwards.
You did. You got it backwards.
Next time, whatever we're doing, Dirty Work is on my list. Gangster films, crazy. Dirty Work.
Gangster films, dirty.
So I
deals with a bookie. I'm just saying. What?
I've seen a few of Chris Farley's movies, and the ones I've seen are the ones like that are known to be like good, like Tommy Boy and Beverly Hills Ninja. The ones I have not seen are the ones that are known to be bad, like Black Sheep and Almost Heroes. So I think it's interesting you picked that, because that's definitely probably the guilty pleasure of Chris Farley movies.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, honestly, I think seeing, for me, I'm not even sure that it's Chris Farley that was the draw. It was like Matthew Perry is oddly perfect for the role he's playing in this really awful film.
And at the time, I mean, Friends was at like
apex, at its peak,
right?
Yeah.
Like, and so Matthew Perry, and at the time, Matthew Perry was doing a lot of movies around that era. They weren't all very successful, minus like The Whole Nine Yards. That's probably the one exception, really. But I think it was really. I'm not, outside of like SNL, I'm not a huge Chris Farley fan, because I'm just not a big fan of Ooh, Fat Guy Falls Down,
right.
Which was a lot of his more popular movies. Yeah, I feel like, or he was just like a mentally incapacitated man-child. And I just wasn't into that. What I like about Almost Heroes is he does play a character. Yeah, he's still loud and he's gruff, but it's not just like
no, but he's
competent in his own way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it's
he's
not
the huntsman.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's great. Oh man, Almost Heroes. All right, Aaron, your first one.
Right.
He's like,
Okay.
"I have
Okay.
too."
I'm gonna save. Okay. So for the first one, I'm gonna see if you guys can guess what movie it is from me doing this. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fun. Superstar.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even think
Sorry,
about
go ahead.
SNL movies. Jeez.
I know, right? There's a whole list of SNL movies.
Yeah. There's this one line in the movie that like my family always says to each other all the time. They always go, "You're special, so special. We are putting you in special ed." It's a special line to me because being deaf, I kind of was in like special ed. So
Right.
yeah.
Oh man, wow. Okay, cool. So yeah, Superstar. I just can't believe I didn't even think of.
There's a whole market.
There's a whole market, of SNL movies.
Night at the Roxbury, The Ladies Man.
So Night at the
It's
Roxbury. Yeah, those are all great ones. Oh man, that's great. Okay,
great for this
Superstar.
list. Let's make this great for this list. They're not great movies.
No, great for this list. That's definitely a whole list of guilty pleasure comedies that I didn't even consider. Okay, Superstar. Nice. All right. Number 2 on my list, I have Mr. Deeds from 2002. Adam Sandler's top-notch choice in music and a few genuinely fun moments make this ridiculous Adam Sandler film a very sneaky pick for guilty pleasure comedies. And that's how I summarize that. There's most of these movies have lines in them that I have repeated over the years. And for Mr. Deeds, it's a very sneaky song. That's a very, very, very sneaky song. I've said that for, well, let's see, 21 years. I've said that for 21 years, huh?
That's the butler who says that, right?
The butler, yes. Yeah. Whoa, you kind of snuck up on me there. Yeah, I'm very sneaky, son. Very, very sneaky. Yeah, I just
would that movie a remake of like some older comedy?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
Oh, actually, yeah, maybe.
Mr. Deeds, it was, but I think the premise was different. Like same name, but with the Adam Sandler ridiculous comedy spin on it. And so there we go. Mr. Deeds, rather quickly. Josh.
All right, so my next get to the point review, take you guys back to a year of 2008 filled with fantastic comedy movies. Tropic Thunder, Hamlet 2. Tropic Thunder, Hamlet 2. I think Pineapple Express was that year as well. This is not one of those movies. It is a superhero movie from 2008. And again, just like in my thing, 2008 delivered many great comedies. This was not one of them. I enjoyed this cringeworthy parody starring the now controversial Drake Bell, but I will not defend its failures. Like I said, I just have a weakness for
what movie?
Movies.
Superhero movie. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even recognize the title.
There were a whole string of them that didn't get much attention, like disaster movie, date movie.
Oh yeah.
I can't even say anything good about disaster or date movie.
Right,
and those were so bad.
The only one out of those strings that got any way was Not Another Teen Movie, because we had a naked Captain America in it.
And Scary Movie did really well too.
Well, yeah, of course, but that was the one that started those. Really, Scary Movie was the first one of those.
Yeah, I thought Not Another Teen Movie was first. I guess we have to look at it.
Yeah, we'd have to look at it.
It's not a big deal, but they were both enjoyable movies.
I haven't even seen that one. Superhero movie.
Yeah, I think I watched it after we had Tyler in the hospital. Catherine and I watched it, and it was just so stupid. But it was. And I do think, as a disclaimer, I think the atmosphere of when you're watching a movie I think really matters on how you kind of perceive it. Like
big time.
There's something like I personally like, and I'm going off on a tangent. I personally don't hate X-Men 3, the one with the Juggernaut stuff, because I went to the midnight premiere. And it being the midnight premiere, naturally, everybody was excited and laughing. And when he said, "I'm the Juggernaut bitch," like the whole, the whole theater like blew up, right?
Yeah.
And so my memory of it, at least my initial viewing of it, is a lot different than someone who like just watched it the first time 3 weeks ago on Disney Plus.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I guess you with that for sure.
Wait, what did you say the controversial moment was?
Oh, controversial actor Drake Bell from Drake and
Josh.
Josh.
And who was that?
He was from the show Drake and Josh.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have cable growing up, so I never watched like Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was like really big, like he was a really big child star, but I guess like I don't know. There's like a lot of allegations.
Did he Me Too?
Of like pedophilia and whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at separating between the art and artist. I mean, yeah, like fuck that dude, but I'll also watch this movie.
Yeah, so am I.
I'll watch older Kevin Spacey movies I've seen before, but if he makes anything new, I'm probably not gonna watch it.
See, and I just don't feel that. I definitely separate the art from the artist big time. Like I
I guess I don't like Kevin Spacey.
It's upsetting. It's super upsetting what James Franco is going through. I fucking love Disaster Artist and everything.
That was a great movie.
Fucking touched, man. Yeah. I love James Franco.
About everything, but everything.
And I still,
like 2005 on.
I still love most of what Kevin Spacey's done. Man, I could watch. Which I was super surprised that The Life of David Gale has such a low rating. I mean, it does and doesn't surprise me. After I read the reviews, I was like, okay, I see what you don't like about it, but I just ignored all the bad shit to enjoy a suspenseful ride.
My general impression on it, and I get, he bad, don't support him. But like my impression is like he's one of hundreds of people, maybe thousands, that put work into this film. You guys are letting his bad actions ruin
everyone else's hard work.
Their hard work. And I think I could, like you said, you could definitely separate. Most of it for me is recent Kevin Spacey just isn't as entertaining as he used to be. Like 90s Kevin Spacey and early 2000s, like Pitch Perfect, right? But
yeah, it's like Kevin Spacey had this Nicolas Cage thing about him in the 90s and early 2000s, where it was like it was always going to be outrageously stunning to see him do whatever.
He was just the right actor for the right types of movies for the time.
Yeah.
And I think he's just kind of grown out of that.
I still love you, Kevin. All right. Well,
don't say that too much.
Number 2. No, I'm a little old for him. Oh, yikes. Oh, damn. Oh, my fingers. Ouch. Okay.
Well, we're losing that subscription, guys.
Well, he's not going to listen anymore. Gosh dang it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Our celebrity audience is dwindling every single time we speak. Okay. So, Aaron, number 2 on your list.
Okay. Number 2 on my list is let's give a big round of applause for The House Bunny.
Woohoo! I can't even say it.
The House Bunny. I haven't seen that one either.
Was that also 2008?
I don't know. It was Anna Faris.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Playboy bunny. And she's like Hugh Hefner's favorite bunny. And I love the fact that Hugh Hefner is actually in the movie and has like dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I mean, how many movies does Hugh Hefner in?
That was like pre-famous Emma Stone in that movie too.
Yes, Emma Stone within the movie.
One of the sorority girls, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like nerdy and not hot.
Mm-hmm.
And Anna Faris gets kicked out the Playboy house mansion because this other bunny girl like kind of overthrows her, whatever, like frames her. I don't remember all the details. Yeah. Shaquille O'Neal makes a cameo appearance for like 5 seconds. So, I mean, if I haven't already sold you on this being the greatest movie ever, I don't know what else will.
Nice. Okay, cool. The House Bunny. All right, I'm gonna have to watch that one. I wrote it down.
It's always just, for me, it's always kind of been like on the, like, it's like, if it's on, I'll like, I am interested in seeing it just to see kind of how good it is, because I'm a big supporter of Anna Faris, and I feel really badly that she's not had the greatest career. Since like she started really strong and then it's kind of really tapered off.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big fan of Anna Faris and I want to see her succeed. Also, like I said, Emma Stone, it's like before, I think it's around the same time Superbad was made. So like she was not very well known yet. And I just haven't had, it's just one of those, it's like you think about watching all the time, you just don't really get around to it,
Gotcha. All right. Well, then it brings me to my number 3. So when I was going through my list, I also realized that a lot of these were comedies that at the time I had bought unrated versions of the DVD as excuse to see breasticles.
Of course.
Because I was a teenager. So of course half of my DVDs were unrated versions of movies I shouldn't be watching. Which brings us to my number 3 pick, which rewatching it was a completely different experience than when I watched it when I was 13. 40 Days and 40 Nights from 2002 is a movie about sex addiction before it was recognized as a real thing that shares a strong correlation with how it is to be a sex addict. As many so because there are as many plot points in this movie as there are facets to sex addiction. Like the part of why this movie has such awful reviews in the first place is because it's like 3 storylines all wrapped into one.
Right.
Where at first it's just, okay, he's going to choose abstinence during Lent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Lent. He's going to give up sex and masturbation, all of that all together for 40 days and 40 nights. That there is a strong enough plot point in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have manufactured tension when all of a sudden the girl that he's trying to date finds out that he's on this like sexual purity thing. It's like, okay, in dating, most women would be ecstatic about that because now you're forced to get to know them for 40 days rather than just chasing tail. Right. And they make that a plot point because then it becomes this huge competition where they're trying to ruin his 40-day sobriety, where eventually then you have the ex that comes back, and like there's just too many plot points going on for it to be well rated as a film. But when it comes down to, literally there are as many plot points as there are facets to sex addiction, because sex addiction is this wide spectrum of things that people suffer from. I know guys that are addicted strictly to porn and pornography. For me, it was, affairs and intimacy and all sorts of other extra infidelity bullcrap that I'm dealing with and that I'm sober from, thank goodness. So 40 Days and 40 Nights, what did you guys have a impression of that film? Do you remember it?
It was
I've never even heard of it.
I have. Hartnett. It's Josh Hartnett. It was another. I watched it. To me, it was just another one in the gauntlet of teen sex comedies.
Yeah.
And again, we were at an age where I wouldn't have looked at it and recognized, oh, I see what the underlying, sex addiction message or whatever is. I just saw it as this guy is like, to me, never being someone who is always like, I have to like have sex with a woman the minute I meet her. Like I've never been that guy. I could not relate to the main character. I'm like, just don't have sex for 40. Like in my mind,
it's like super easy.
It's like not in my mind. It's like not drinking for 40 days. Like you're not really giving up a lot, But like now that I'm older and the way you've explained it, like it makes a little bit more sense. But at the time, it didn't really leave an impression on me.
Yeah, no, and exactly when at the time when it came out, it was just like I remember when the movie came out. The fantasy was that I loved Josh Hartnett. That's
why I watched it, because I love Hartnett. Yeah,
him and Paul Walker. It was like those two guys. I want to be them. I want to be them. It was about for me. It was a physical thing. For those of you who don't know, I was 310 pounds in high school, so it was like I wanted to be desirable so hard. And Josh Hartnett. Josh Hartnett and Paul Walker were desirable, and so I idolized them. So when this Josh Hartnett movie came out and it was about all these women wanting him and him having to tell them no, it was like, I would love to be in that situation. Right. When I'm 13 years old and have a penis. At the time, so when I just rewatched it for the podcast, to kind of see like, okay, did I really enjoy this movie, or is it going to make the Guilty Pleasures comedy list? The first 20 minutes spoke so deeply to me as a sex addict that the rest of the movie didn't even really matter. Right. I was just like, holy crap. It was one of those, opening your third eye, like, wow, man, they don't really address this. And it would have been so easy to then make it like, okay, during these 40 days, he needs to go to a 12-step program because it's sex addiction that he's dealing with. And the grief of his ex is what pushed him into his addiction in the first place. So he's got triggers and everything, like it's so easily identifiable. It was just astonishing to me that it goes under the radar, like with the messages that it has.
And part of it might be we've talked about this before too. Part of it might have been the way it was marketed.
The way it was marketed was
I doubt
sex comedy.
I think people went into it expecting something like Old School. And, right.
It sounds like ahead of the time, because I don't think I heard of like No Fap or No Nut November until probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, because it wasn't a thing until it wasn't. And it wasn't during the 40 days. And I mean, in 2002, it wasn't when this movie came out. That's what I'm saying. That's why it was marketed as just a teen sex comedy, because, we were all buying DVDs for $10 to $20 at whatever store we could get them at, Target, Walmart, whatever. And
Dollar General,
wherever we could get it. So that's 40 days, 40 nights. That makes my number 3.
I could probably count on like one hand the number of movies I know that are about sex addiction, like Don Juan with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's not a topic that's really addressed a lot.
No, it's not. I mean, and it's
only really recently been like publicly like
recognized. Yes, exactly. Yes, right. And before it's like, oh, you're a sex addict. Yeah, everybody enjoys sex. It's like, no, dude, we're sex addicts, as in we will throw our just like someone will just like an alcoholic or someone addicted to banging stuff into their veins. Like, they're at a trap house, I'm stuck in the bedroom.
Right.
Like that's or if it's masturbation and pornography, then you're stuck in front of your laptop and you'll miss work for it. You'll ruin your life for it. It is an addiction, not just something you enjoy. Everyone enjoys sex. God designed it that way. So, like duh. Oh yeah, so that was my number 3. Did you give your number 3?
I've not yet.
No. Okay.
So my number 3, also from 2008. This is the only same year thing, which is weird. Is Meet the Spartans, which is another parody movie.
Yeah.
Hard to believe this was released the same year as superhero movie. I have a soft spot for parodies, no matter how bad they are. I love Sean Maguire, but it's safe to say this film has probably ruined any chance he had of becoming a leading man in Hollywood.
Oh, that's a shame.
I mean, he's found a second life like in television, which is fantastic. But there was a push for him at one point to kind of be that like, studly, whatever, Hollywood leading man. And I think him doing this movie kind of ruined it. Kevin Sorbo was in it.
I forgot the name of the actor, but that guy who was in I remember him most clearly from Scary Movie 3. He was the parody of Eminem. But he disappeared for a long time and then came back in Red Rocket like a year ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but what is? I know exactly what you're talking about too, and I'm trying to think of his name. I don't know.
I can't place anyone but Anna Faris and the Wayans brother from.
Well, Scary Movie 3 was like Charlie Sheen and this guy, and it was like a Signs, heavily Signs.
Okay. So they were. Oh man, so that makes me want to rewatch.
But yeah, the 8 Mile bit, I loved it. Yeah. I did. I was like really cringy, because I thought they were gonna be like. And it was like everyone thought going into it, like he was gonna be like off key and have bad rhythm and blah, but like he destroyed that fucking like
I've got to rewatch
he killed that shit, and I'm sorry, but that was awesome.
Nice. Okay. See, and okay, with Meet the Spartans, this is one of those things where with parody movies, I guess I wait. Maybe it's just that certain parodies, I'm like, okay, that's something I would want to see parodied. So Meet the Spartans was parodying 300, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, okay, like I kind of only barely enjoyed 300. So why would I think I would enjoy Meet the Spartans? Like I would have to really, really enjoy the movie to want to see it parodied, where like with Scary Movie, they hit so many 90s scary movies and tropes that I grew up with, where it was like, oh yeah, I gotta see this.
And I think Meet the Spartans is one of the last ones they did before they started just being like, it doesn't matter what the movie is, we're just going to parody pop culture randomness. Like
we can parody anything, let me show you.
Right. It's just like, okay, that's and they don't even like have storylines, and it's just like
right, which is why I missed so many of these parody films. Superhero movie, The House Bunny doesn't sound like a parody. It sounds like it was a comedy.
No, it's not.
No, yeah. Okay, gotcha. All right, your number 3, Aaron.
Number 3, I will go with Malibu's Most Wanted.
That one did cross my mind. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Jamie Kennedy, I think.
I love Jamie Kennedy. Even today, I love his stand-up.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I don't know if I'm really familiar with anything else he's done.
He's in the Tremors movies now.
Okay. And
They're
I don't
still
watch
making them.
Okay. I don't watch a lot of horror. It's my least favorite genre.
Gotcha.
I will watch it, but
same, but I like creature features.
okay.
Like I kind of have a weakness for them.
You know, Tremors has a special place in my heart because of Kevin Bacon.
The greatest actor alive.
He's the greatest actor. He's the world's hero.
And he saved the Guardians Christmas.
He saved the Guardians Christmas. He did save the Guardians Christmas.
I think Malibu's Most Wanted kind of had the same storyline as Chris Farley's Black Sheep. It's about this guy who's an embarrassment to a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason Jamie Kennedy is so embarrassing is because, he acts black.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched it recently, but I would imagine it still holds up well as a comedy, but that's a risky thing to say because so many comedies do not hold up well, especially something of that nature.
Well, yeah, especially ones that like are relevant to the modern day sentiment when they're made. Like, we don't share the same sentiment today that we did 25 years ago, so societally wise, right?
Like with AAVE, for instance, right? It's very that's something I feel like I need to rewatch Malibu's Most Wanted now, just because you brought it up. That's definitely I love Jamie Kennedy too, so that's like I'm gonna be biased, but that makes me think of which we've covered on the podcast before. Ali G into House has a similar storyline. So does Billy Madison and stuff like that. Where it's sort of this like I don't know, is it fish out of water technically storyline?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like you take an incompetent buffoon and put them in a different situation to try to hide them from the world or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so my number 4, I'm gonna have to switch it up. So my number 4 is going to be The New Guy from 2002 because it also sort of parodies this Malibu's Most Wanted and Ali G into House, those sort of films where the only thing that watered down the only thing this watered down Revenge of the Nerds knockoff really got right was the soundtrack. Broken Dicks Are Medically Possible. DJ Qualls should have been Chasing a Black Girl, and Zoe Deschanel was completely wasted. But I still love a lot about this movie. The parts that are ridiculous and stupid are such a waste of time, but I have such a soft spot for DJ Qualls. I love DJ Qualls in like everything he does. I remember when he showed up in a Breaking Bad episode in season 2, I was like, oh my gosh, oh, it's my boy. Like it was just, I was super excited.
Was he a meth head or?
And he's playing a undercover cop.
Okay, that guy. Yeah.
Badger.
I haven't seen the New Guys, but I'm like, I know that face because I've seen the cover of the DVD.
Yeah. So the New Guy. So like the cool and sort of strong message about this is in 2002, they're preaching equality. When he goes to a new school, he's like, no one's allowed to call anybody a freak. There's no social hierarchy. It's like the person which is why I said it was like a watered down Revenge of the Nerds kind of thing.
Right.
Because we're taking the little guy or the freak or
taking
whatever.
the nerdy guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And propping him up and showing that he can be just as popular, when really it's just early version of everyone's unique and special in their own way.
Yeah,
because even the people who are I don't know, well off have their own problems. Maybe he's an asshole.
And a lot of especially teen comedies at the period really, I think, delved into that around that time span, and that's kind of, and I mean, maybe there's stuff earlier than that I just don't know because I was before my whatever. But like I do feel like I watched a lot of that, which is why like it confuses me in today's day and age when people are like complaining about wokeism or whatever and blah, because it's like, yes, there can be too much of something, but the idea that like we're trying to like put the spotlight on something that's different from the last 100 years, I don't see why that's a bad thing. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, the reason why The New Guy has such an awful rating is because the message was a great message for sure, but all of their attempts to be funny, like they had this whole like Braveheart thing where he's dressing up like Braveheart, and this mix of like General Patton or something like that
So
at
weird.
a football game, and he's rallying the troops kind of thing.
That, yeah.
And it's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like with him, for instance, and the new guy, DJ Qualls, is the lead man in a funk band, which is a bunch of nerds that are playing. That's what they play is funk. Which, taking a look at the soundtrack and the stuff that they play, is all really, really great music. So that itself should have been like, this is how they're going to be cool, because it is fucking cool, and they do a great job at playing the music. So it's fucking cool, whether they look, ridiculous or not. So yeah, I mean, it's so much weak crap in the movie made it to where the message just doesn't matter, which is why, even though it was a popular concept in the time, no one got on because no one was able to take it seriously.
Right.
All right, Josh, and your number 4?
My number 4, I get to the point review, is going to be Epic Movie from 2007.
Oh my gosh.
To complete this unholy trinity of parodies, this movie had promise with Kal Penn, Jaime Mays, and an early role of Kevin Hart's. The best part is where Tumnus stands up to the undersized Narnia-type villain that Kevin Hart plays, only to get shot gangsta style. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it's like supposed to be like this epic, like he's like letting the kids get away or whatever, and it's like he's standing there to like hold him off, and he's just like, come on, do what you will to me, thinking he's just gonna like beat the crap out of him because whatever, and he just like seething and staring at him really hard for, I don't know, 5-6 seconds, just out of nowhere he just pulled out a little Glock and just shoots him in the chest. It's like, that really got me. The rest of the movie is just so bad, but that was so funny to me.
That one point,
that one bit, yeah.
Oh man, so out of the movies that we have with the new guy is the only one that I don't have like a line that I repeat out of, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, I just think that's funny though. Another movie I have not seen, another parody that I have not seen, and that I skipped probably just because I was like, yeah. Okay,
I made it a point in like the 2000s to watch all. Like Date Movie was really the first one that I was kind of like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Catherine and I eventually watched it like a few years ago, and it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. So
okay. All right, Aaron, your number 4.
My number 4 is, and I cannot stress how excited I was when I saw posters for this movie when it came out. White Chicks.
Oh God. I didn't feel the same.
Well, for me, when it comes to guilty pleasures, I mean, I'm sure the ratings are awful, but to me, that is such a good movie. I still laugh like continuously through it, and there's not one part of the film where I'm like, okay, this is just stupid. I mean, because it is stupid, but it's purposefully stupid, and it's so well done. Like that, for me, White Chicks is a perfect movie. Like it is. White Chicks is a perfect movie for me. And
it's the movie that started, it introduced to me at least Terry Crews taking off his shirt and flexing his muscle while acting stupid.
Yes,
which he's been milking for 20 years, so
Yeah, he's been doing it for 20 years. Yeah.
Yes, he's
we love you, Terry.
We love.
He
Terry
listens.
Crews.
He's an avid fan of ours.
Yeah,
so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Which I think is no small thing to do. Like, how many like buff action stars can you think of who are also funny? Like, not a lot.
Right, who do the comedy,
who are legitimately funny? Yeah, you're right.
Who are legit.
Some of them are funny when they try to act, but that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. No. Whereas Terry Crews can legitimately.
Yeah, honestly, the closest one would probably be The Rock or John Cena, but they're both not really funny.
Not even close.
They're just likable. Like Terry Crews is like legitimately funny.
Yeah, right. So, where it's like, yes. See, comparing Terry Crews to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and to John Cena there's no comparison.
Well, I mean, he said buff actors, so I was just trying to
agree.
Think. Yeah.
Yes, but when it comes to buff actors, if we were putting them in that category for sure. But yeah, wow. Yes, that's a great one. That's a really good one. Very good, Aaron. Nice. That again wouldn't have made my list just because there's nothing bad about it for me. Nothing bad. But I agree. I mean, because you went with just off of the ratings that they have on IMDb. So totally good.
Yeah. I saw on Facebook like a week or two ago, somebody like posted like White Chicks 2 coming out on Netflix soon. And I got so excited and I Googled it. But the Wayans brothers have said, we will never do it again because makeup was hell.
I bet. Yeah.
See, okay, which is interesting because so maybe I'm buying into a fake post then, because I thought I had seen the Wayans brothers saying like it's time for White Chicks 2. I could have swore it was months ago.
I don't know. It's hard to know what to believe.
Yeah. It would be amazing if they did it. I think what would be interesting is if they did White Chicks 2 where maybe they cast it where they're not the ones in makeup, write it and cast it where they're not the ones in makeup. Maybe they're the maybe they have to play the black boyfriends of the white chicks that they're going undercover with or something like that. That would be interesting. I don't know. I just love the Wayans brothers. So that's
Josh, I gotta ask you, since you love parodies, have you seen 50 Shades of Black?
I have not. I'm not very my favorite Wayans brothers movie, and I think a lot of people are on the same page, is Don't Be a Menace in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. I thought that was the perfect parody.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes, clearly.
Like, it's right behind Airplane in my mind, like
right, an untouchable cult classic.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's the
and of course the first Scary Movie is amazing.
Right, where Don't Be a Menace is, I don't know, I guess it's not outrageous in the same ways White Chicks is, and that's why White Chicks stands out separate from Don't Be a Menace, because Don't Be a Menace is like this untouchable cult classic.
And for me, it's like with White Chicks specifically, like I don't know, I'm not interested in watching it. It doesn't look like something that'd be funny to me. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just past my Wayans brothers days. I have no idea, but I still like their shows.
I'm gonna
their
make
show
you
from
watch
the 90s.
it. I'm gonna make you watch it. All right. Well, it brings me around to number 5 for me. So number 5 for me, to complete our 2002 sequence or whatever it would be, is Boat Trip 2002.
Oh, Jesus.
2 single men accidentally board a cruise ship packed full of infinitely more talented actors in this odd homophobic rom-com.
Horatio Sands character.
Breaks character or plays himself?
He plays himself. I was just making a joke because he's so infamous for it. When he was on SNL, like he could not get through his skit without laughing.
Character, yeah,
like it was so bad.
Yeah.
Is that like in the same vein as like Road Trip and Euro Trip?
No, not really.
It's basically Out to Sea, but with younger actors.
Yes, it's Out to Sea with younger actors.
Out to Sea was Walter Matthau.
Oh, Jack Lemmon. Yeah. Good Lord, yes.
You don't get much older than them.
I was trying to place the movie. Yeah, Out to Sea. I was like, I don't know that movie. So Boat Trip. It's like I said, it's a super like homophobic rom-com that's supposed to be, but everyone else besides Horatio Sands, and I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr., I understand why they cast him for it. He moves well as far as like dancing, and they needed someone who could do a cross-dressing drag show. And
at the time, he was still pretty big. He hadn't fallen off yet.
Yeah, it was around the time of radio and everything else too. So which was interesting because radio has absolutely awful ratings, but I remember it being super popular when it came out.
Maybe it just didn't age well.
Maybe it didn't age well.
Like I remember loving it when that came out.
It's ironic that he makes like one movie where it's like, we should be more accepting of mentally disabled people, and then it's like, let's make fun of gay people now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Well, and so what you'll find though, if you watch Boat Trip, is that Horatio Sands' character is the only one making fun of gay people. He's the super homophobic one, whereas Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, so what? Like we can still have fun. This isn't. It's only his initial shock of realizing they've gone on a gay cruise.
Yeah,
where that's the only homophobia you'll really see. Cuba Gooding Jr. is just the initial shock of realizing they're on a gay cruise. And then after that, Horatio Sanz is the one who's just hitting it hard with the homophobic. And I can, it's irritating because you can tell Horatio Sanz is supposed to be making all of the straight men comfortable while they're watching the film, but really it's just grossly offensive. Like
Horatio Sanz doesn't make anyone comfortable.
Yeah, I think we should be past the point where we realize, like, look, if you're that uncomfortable with like gay men, like kissing each other on screen, you might not be as like well grounded in your own sexuality as you think, because it shouldn't make you uncomfortable. For instance, episode 3 of The Last of Us, or maybe it was episode 2. No, it was episode 3. They made a beautiful gay love story out of the town that they were going through. And I bawled like a baby, man. It was so touching for me. Okay, so if you don't know Aaron, I cry at everything.
He cries all the time.
I cry at everything, but I bawled like a baby through that one. And like, it's just, I don't know, I feel like we should be past the point of that. So again, Horatio Sanz still comes off super homophobic, but we also have a lot of I wonder if some of the negative views are the fact that I don't think any of the actors were gay that were playing gay men.
And that would be another thing that at the time was pretty normalized,
which was plenty normal. Yeah. And I still see that to me as a feat of acting. If a straight man can play a game, you're acting. That's the point.
What I hate about that the modern sentimentality of it is, so you're saying because a person's gay, he can't play a straight action star?
Right.
Like, I don't, like it works.
Neil Patrick Harris, like the greatest guy at acting straight.
Harris, yeah.
Crap.
Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't just like not cast him as a straight male because he's not straight. Like that doesn't make sense. And I do get there's a line, like you're not gonna, you shouldn't cast I don't know, Kathy Griffin as Pocahontas, right? But like,
the line that I repeat from this movie, okay, is about fashion. That I've repeated for 21 years about how when I buy a shirt, I want it to drape, not hang. I don't want it to hang on me. I want it to drape, not hang. And I've just always I was like, oh my god, when I heard that line in that movie. Yeah, yes, you want it to drape, not hang.
I have a question for you, because I haven't seen Boat Trip, but when you're talking about like how I'm just trying to get like a sense of the vibe, like about the homophobia. Like what comes to my mind is Community. Community, the TV show, is not homophobic, but Chevy Chase character is homophobic. But the whole point is for it to laugh at how homophobic he is. Right. Is that kind of the vibe they go for in this movie, or is it more like, no, this is just something we should all embrace or something?
It's a mixed vibe. So about half of the jokes from Horatio Sanz are like that, where it's like we're supposed to be laughing at how uncomfortable he is. Yeah. And then there are certain parts where we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, that shouldn't fly. For instance, the person who's chasing Horatio Sanz during this whole movie is a gay Roger Moore. It's Roger Moore playing a super horned up gay guy.
Awesome.
And they're all wonderful. They're all so good in the movie. It's so fun to watch them, not Horatio. He's definitely the worst part of the movie. And I don't really have anything against Horatio Sanz. It's just that, again, it was tired that he was supposed to be making straight men comfortable to watch the film, which also was, this Boat Trip had such a confused audience because it was still a teen sex comedy, right? So they threw in a Swedish bathing suit team that was topless for pretty much the whole movie in there, so that way straight men are supposed to be comfortable. Like, okay, well, even if there are
assless chaps, because there's boobs.
Yeah, even if there are assless chaps, I'll go see it because there are boobs. Which was just stupid. It was like confused. It's like, just let it be what it is. Like, we're supposed to be like, hey, these gay men are no different than any other man.
And honestly, in general, that time period, like gay characters or just homosexuality in general was like not handled very well at all by writers.
No, and and so like, other than Horatio Sanz, I felt like they did handle it really well, because but
they did write the Horatio Sanz character.
They did, but they did. They did. The same writers that wrote the good parts of the film also wrote the bad parts of the film. This is true. Yeah. This is true. You don't have. There's not a separate byline. Horatio Sanz written by Jenny McCarthy or something, or Melissa McCarthy. Which one's the really awful one? Which one's the really awful one? That's Melissa McCarthy. The one that's in Identity Thief.
That's Melissa McCarthy. Yeah,
I can't stand her. That's who wrote those lines for Horatio Sanz. I'm sure.
Wait, what's wrong with Melissa McCarthy?
I don't like Melissa McCarthy.
I think she's a love-or-hate person because my wife doesn't like her either. And there were some things that she kind of, I feel like she has I feel like she's got a very small niche that she can do. And I think she's better in small doses.
Yes.
When she was doing her thing on SNL a couple years ago, I don't remember what the press secretary's name was, but she was acting like that guy.
Oh, Sean Spicer.
Yeah, exactly. That Sean Spicer. That was hilarious, but I don't want to watch a 2-hour movie of her doing that. You know?
I don't want. Yeah, okay, yeah. But for me, just like her stand-up is super tired for me. Every stand-up joke that I've seen from her is my pussy is so dirty. It's like, yeah, we get it, dude. Go wash your vagina. Yeah. Like and you
for the love of Christ, take a shower.
Because if she doesn't, if it's not a joke about her being a fat whore, then she doesn't have a joke. And it's like, if that's the joke, like that can be fixed with bathing and raising your standards. Yeah. So please fix your life.
People make the same complaint about Amy Schumer, and I love Amy Schumer.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Amy Schumer is.
Nothing Amy Schumer. I don't hate her, but I don't love her either. Like she's just kind of a person.
You're right. Amy Schumer, and I guess for me,
I love Trainwreck though. I like that movie.
And I don't like Amy Schumer's stand-up. It's the same way. I feel the same way about.
Yeah, it's all pushy jokes. That's it. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's what speaks to me. Like, exactly. I don't identify with the jokes. And so I'm sure that they're both wonderful people. I don't find their stand-up entertaining. So so that's why she wrote for Horatio Sanz.
So Boat Trip was your number 5.
So Boat Trip was my number 5, with dialogue written for Horatio Sanz by Melissa McCarthy and Amy Schumer.
My final one is my final get to the point review is the movie Trippin' from 1999. It's a late 90s comedy about a nerdy high school boy who is constantly daydreaming and chasing like the girl of his dreams. In reality, he's forced to grow up when pursuing his crush, and he does eventually actually land her. I remember watching this at the time because it had Donald Faison in it. And honestly, looking back on it, he was the only thing I remembered that I enjoyed. I do remember like a lot, like it was a lot of like they did the thing where like he's daydreaming and they're showing the fantasy and whatever. And, but I love Donald Faison. I mean,
What'd you say it's called? Tripping?
Trippin'.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. Pulled that one out of nowhere, didn't I, guys?
Oh my goodness!
Wow, I thought I've heard of obscure movies, but yeah.
I wrote it down. It's another one I'm gonna have to watch.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if you have to watch it, but
it's on our list. I do have to watch it now. Thanks, Josh.
Well, then you're gonna hate my honorable mentions. All right.
Oh no. All right, Aaron. What's your number 5?
Number 5, and I'm gonna quote the movie, and you guys will know which movie it is. And this one had the lowest rating of all of them.
Oh my.
Yes. I think it's like a 3.8 on IMDb. Okay. Turtle.
Oh my gosh.
Master of Disguise.
My wife will love you for that. I don't know. She loves that movie, and I don't understand why. Even as a kid, I was like, this is so dumb. And I was a Dana Carvey fan until that movie came out.
See, for me, I love Dana Carvey. I do love Master of Disguise. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Like I didn't even think of that, but it is would have definitely made my honorable mentions. I know that if I rewatched it, it would have made my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Do you remember Jennifer Aniston within that movie?
She's the love interest, right?
No, the love interest is the girl from Spin City. She was what's her name? Not the main girl, but she was one of the secretaries. Jennifer Esposito.
Was it Jennifer Aniston?
It was Jennifer Esposito. That's who the love interest was.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
At the time, I remember.
He had a crush on her at the time. He remembers. All right, then.
You didn't have a crush on Dana Carvey? What's wrong with you?
Well, see, for me, the reason why I liked Master of Disguise for different reasons that everyone else did. I feel like everyone else at the time, I felt like everyone else really liked Master of Disguise because of Dana Carvey's impersonations, right? And like I don't know. I guess I never found his impersonations to be that great. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I loved about it. I loved that we were supposed to be buying that his disguises were great. That's what I loved about the movie, is that like we're supposed to believe that he's not who he is, I think he's very clearly Dana Carvey.
And I think Dana Carvey in general, his impersonations were never like, they weren't spot on accurate the way that some impersonators do.
Right.
But he was so good at creating such a cartoonish version of them, of who he was doing. Like his George Bush on SNL
is instantly a character,
is amazing.
Yes.
You know, and you know, his church lady, you know, clearly he doesn't sound like a, you know, but you know, yeah, I love Dana Carvey, but I cannot support him leading a vehicle at all, you know.
Yeah.
Do you remember him doing, I think it was like an Italian man?
Yes.
That was really impressive to me, at least.
I'm gonna have to rewatch Master of Disguise too. Wow. Okay. Man. All right. Wow. So that wrapped our list.
Does anyone else have honorable mentions? You have honorable mentions, right?
I have ones I could mention honorably.
Can we go with mine first?
Yeah.
All right. So what I had from honorable mentions that just barely missed the cut for whatever reason, Dirty Work, which will be on the next podcast. So be prepared. Your Highness, Airplane 2, Mafia.
Oh, see, Mafia is just good parody, though, to me.
Me too, but the world doesn't agree.
And wait, what's it called?
Mafia. It's a Jay Moore movie, and it's basically, you know,
making fun of the Godfather,
and
Casino,
Goodfellas, Casino, and yeah.
Okay.
And then Scary Movie 4, which is the one that was heavily like War of the Worlds and Grudge influenced, and it had Craig Bierko in it, who no one listening to this podcast knows, but I love him as an actor. Those are my honorable mentions.
Mafia is a great one. Wow.
I just rewatched it like 3 weeks ago. I love that movie. So that and Johnny Dangerously, I love them both.
Johnny Dangerously.
Johnny Dangerously is like a legitimately good movie.
That's a legitimately good movie for sure.
Is that the Mr. Bean movie?
No, you're thinking of Johnny English.
You're thinking of Johnny English. Johnny Dangerously is Michael Keaton doing a parody movie about gangsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was,
and that's a lot like Godfather 2, honestly. And
yes,
yeah,
yes, it is. It's kind of parodying Godfather 2. Yes, no, Mafia. The one scene that I always remember from Mafia, for whatever reason, is after he survives the car bombing, and he's like burnt from head to toe, and he's eating a like apricot or an orange at this funeral, and everyone starts projectile vomiting, and it's like the different colors of the rainbow as it comes out of their mouth. It's just preposterous, but it was like it was at the time, I think it was parodying like a Skittles commercial, or something, or a Hawaiian Punch commercial, something like that.
I remember this very clearly, but that's the one where at the end they add like the little compies from Jurassic Park and eat the Lloyd Bridges, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, from Mafia. That one's a really funny one. Well, your guys' honorable mentions are way better than mine. So already, the only really honorable mention that I have on here that's noteworthy is Airheads.
That's such a good movie. I just watched that recently too.
And when I rewatched it, I was bored to tears except for the radio DJ.
Harry Shearer?
No, not Harry Shearer.
Oh, not Harry Shearer. No, Joe.
Yes,
not Joe Piscopo. Joe Montana. Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. Yes, I just loved everything he did in that movie. It was like
he was great.
I wish I had covered that movie for side characters who deserve a spinoff.
He does,
because he was just so entertaining to watch as the radio DJ who hated his boss and sympathized with the guys who were holding him hostage. You know, like it was just so great. But I was still bored to tears except for Joe Montana.
I thought it held up, but that's me. I mean,
the cast is what keeps it entertaining for me, because I love Brendan Fraser. I love Steve Buscemi.
Adam Sandler.
Adam
before he
Sandler could have
exploded.
been replaced by anybody.
Yeah, because he was. I mean, it was just.
He Adam Sandler's for like 2 scenes, so he's practically wasted. All right, and what about you, Aaron? You got some honorable mentions?
Yeah, my honorable mentions are this is a Wayne's. I don't know. It's Damon Wayans. He's an older one, right? It's called Blank Man.
I love Blank Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love the part in the movie where it's Jason Alexander. He's like, we need to come up with news, and he's just like throwing like stuff at like dartboards, like at a dartboard where it had like it's just like giant lizards, and he like picks another random word.
Yeah.
Great movie. And my 2 other honorable mentions are Dude, Where's My Car?
Okay.
Stoner film we've covered. Nice.
And Saving Silverman.
I thought about that one too, but I was like, I feel like that's legitimately a good one though.
Yeah. Like, well, no, because I've rewatched Saving Silverman within the past few years because I love everything Steve Zahn does.
Yeah,
I absolutely love everything.
Steve Zahn, Jack Black.
Oh man, yes, and the fact that they are the 2 goofball friends.
Yeah.
Is just brilliant. And then so like honorable mentions for me, there's again another one of those comedies that there's nothing guilty pleasure about.
Yeah.
The fact that they're obsessed with Neil Diamond of all poor people. Okay, like Neil Diamond cover band doesn't exist. That's not in their 50s.
And Arlie Ermey's little bit as like their former coach.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yes. That was so great.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, you're gonna do what you do in Full Metal Jacket, but in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Saving Silverman. There's no way it would have made guilty pleasure comedies because I still thoroughly enjoy that.
Thank you for mentioning it, so I can remember it fondly.
Yes, remember it fondly and write it down on my watch again list.
The one part of the movie that vividly stands out to me is I forgot what he does, but Jason Biggs' character makes his girlfriend upset. And she goes, I'm taking away your masturbation privileges.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yes. Yeah, right. She's that much of a control freak. And then like Steve Zahn ends up
disappear too.
Well, Steve Zahn ends up being the one who falls in love with her, right? And then beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, because he likes the fact that she's like a dominating whatever.
Yeah, that she's a badass. Yeah. Yes.
Amanda Peet.
Like, Amanda Peet.
She was like everywhere back then, and like I haven't seen her hardly at all.
Yeah,
it's crazy thinking about like people who are like just like these huge stars like in the 2000s. You saw them like every movie ever, and then like it's like 10 years later you don't see them at all.
It's interesting how they did disappear from Hollywood like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, in which case, that kind of wraps up what we're doing here. Aaron, why don't you tell people where to find you on social media and then about upcoming projects?
So I have a Facebook, Aaron MG. Even though my last name is hyphenated, there's no hyphen in the Facebook name. I used to have Aaron Margolis-Greenbaum. That was my original Facebook. And then Mark Zuckerberg decided that it was
too low. Too low.
It's him personally.
Yeah, no, it was. He monitors all of us.
Yeah. Speaking of Mark Zuckerberg, have you seen the news about him being like a jujitsu badass now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyhow, Mark, the man who is responsible for our democracy falling to pieces. Sorry.
There's a lot to put on him. I mean, we've had politicians for a while now.
Yeah, I know. He's an easy target. Okay. Yeah. But Aaron MG, I have an Instagram. I think it's Naptown Films. YouTube is where I would love it. If you could go to YouTube, type in Naptown Films. Actually, can I say something kind of funny? No. I don't know if you guys heard.
No, please don't. No.
I don't know if you guys saw the news, but I saw it like 2 days ago. Mike Epps is producing a film. And so I don't like how the news said it because they made it sound like it's going to happen, but I think I've heard more news that it actually already happened. Like they already filmed and everything. Because like
stuff always comes out like on a delay, I feel.
It's irritating.
Yeah.
But like the post said, Mike Epps producing film in Indianapolis with local talent and directors and actors and whatever, called Tainted. And then like I saw like all my Facebook friends were like getting really excited. They're like, how do I get in touch with Mike Epps to be in this movie? And then other people were like, oh no, he already cast it and whatever. So I don't know if they've already finished it. But Mike Epps has his own company called Naptown Productions. But somebody emailed our naptownfilms@gmail.com and was like, hey, Mike, how can I be in your movie?
Yeah.
Like, oh, no.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. We're like, we're not Mike Epps. So, yeah.
Different film company. Well, we'll definitely make sure that we put the correct links in the description below so that everyone can find more on Aaron. And we have our closing messages as well. So if you want to continue to support the podcast, you can
look us up on Buzzsprout.
Yes. And what's your plug?
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. I was really confused on how you segued that. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm off my game today. Advertising is a little, rusty. I was going to say, no. So like what I'm going to plug is come see Fourth Wall Players live production of The Importance of Being Earnest, July 21st through 23rd and the 28th through 30th. Friday and Saturday evening performances will be at 7:30, and the Saturday and Sunday matinee performances will be at 2. Tickets are only $16, and you can find us at Eventbrite, or if you follow us on Facebook, I will go ahead and put a direct link on there for ticket sales.
And Two Boys, a Gun in Summer will be released in audiobook form at the end of the summer. My first novel, originally published in 2015 and in paperback in 2017, Two Boys, a Gun in Summer is a coming-of-age story about two 13-year-old boys who discover a gun in a nearby abandoned trailer and what they do with it over the course of a summer. You can find it on Amazon in paperback and in audio version at the end of the summer. And we thank you all for listening. Aaron, we thank you so much for being here with us today. And we will see you guys next time for the
Josh, Kelly, thank you both so much for having me on. It was fun.
Oh yeah, it was great having you. Thank you.
Yeah, just as entertaining as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Get to the point.